Imagine looking up at the moon and wondering, could a human ever stand there? For thousands of years, it was only a dream. But during the 20th century, two superpowers began a race that would change history forever. This wasn't just a race to space. It was a race for global pride, technology, and the future of mankind. After World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union became the world's two most powerful nations. Although they never fought directly on the battlefield, they competed in science, technology, and military power. This rivalry became known as the Cold War, and space soon became its biggest battlefield. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union shocked the world by launching Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite to orbit Earth. As it circled above the planet, people in America realized they were falling behind. The space race had officially begun. Determined not to lose, the United States created NASA in 1958 to lead its space program. Engineers, scientists, and astronauts began working toward one incredible goal: sending a human to the moon before anyone else. It was an ambitious dream that seemed almost impossible. After the Soviet Union's early victories in space, America knew it had to do something extraordinary. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy stood before the nation and made a promise that shocked the world. He declared that the United States would land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the end of the decade. At that time, no human had ever traveled to the moon. The technology didn't exist. The rockets weren't powerful enough, and many experts believed the mission was impossible. But Kennedy believed that great challenges inspire great achievements. NASA expanded rapidly. More than 400,000 engineers, scientists, technicians, and workers joined the Apollo program. New research centers were built, powerful computers were developed, and thousands of companies worked together to achieve one goal: reaching the moon. Before sending astronauts to the moon, NASA successfully completed the Mercury and Gemini missions. These missions taught astronauts how to survive in space, perform spacewalks, and control spacecraft. Each success brought America one step closer to the greatest mission in history, Apollo 11. To reach the moon, NASA needed a rocket unlike anything the world had ever seen. The result was the Saturn V, the most powerful rocket ever successfully flown at that time. Standing over 110 meters tall, it was as high as a 36-story building and weighed nearly 3,000 tons when fully fueled. The Saturn V had three powerful stages. Each stage had a different job. The first stage lifted the rocket off Earth using 5 massive F-1 engines. Once its fuel was gone, it separated. Then the second and third stages continued pushing Apollo 11 higher and faster until it escaped Earth's gravity and headed toward the moon. While engineers perfected the rocket, the Apollo astronauts trained for every possible situation. They practiced flying spacecraft, landing on rough terrain, surviving emergencies, and working in the weightlessness of space. Every movement was rehearsed hundreds of times because there would be no second chance on the moon. After years of testing, failures, and improvements, everything was finally ready. The rocket had been built. The astronauts had completed their training. Millions of people were watching and waiting. History was about to be written with a mission called Apollo 11. Apollo 11 was not the mission of just one hero. It was the story of 3 extraordinary astronauts who trusted each other with their lives. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins were chosen from hundreds of highly trained pilots. Together, they were about to attempt the greatest journey in human history. Neil Armstrong was the mission commander. Before becoming an astronaut, he had served as a naval pilot and a test pilot, flying some of the world's fastest aircraft. Calm under pressure and respected by everyone at NASA, Armstrong was chosen to command Apollo 11 and would later become the first human to walk on the moon. Buzz Aldrin was the lunar module pilot. His job was to help land the spacecraft safely on the moon and conduct scientific experiments on the lunar surface. Michael Collins remained inside the command module, orbiting the moon alone while waiting for his teammates to return. Without his role, the mission could never have succeeded. After months of intense preparation, the crew entered quarantine, completed their final medical checks, and reviewed every detail of the mission. On July 16, 1969, millions of people around the world watched as Apollo 11 prepared for launch. History was only moments away. On July 16, 1969, more than 1 million people gathered near Kennedy Space Center in Florida, while hundreds of millions watched on television around the world. At exactly 9:32 a.m., the engines of the mighty Saturn V roared to life. Within seconds, Apollo 11 lifted off the launch pad, beginning humanity's greatest journey. As the rocket climbed higher, each stage separated exactly as planned. Within minutes, Apollo 11 had reached Earth's orbit. Soon after, the spacecraft fired its engines once again, leaving Earth's gravity behind and beginning its 3-day journey toward the moon. During the journey, the astronauts carried out system checks, spoke with mission control, took photographs of Earth, and prepared for the moon landing. Looking back through the spacecraft windows, they saw Earth as a small blue sphere floating in the darkness of space. After traveling nearly 384,000 kilometers, Apollo 11 finally reached the moon. The spacecraft entered lunar orbit, circling the gray surface below. The most dangerous part of the mission was about to begin. Soon, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin would climb into the lunar module, Eagle, and attempt the first moon landing in history. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin climbed into the lunar module Eagle. Leaving Michael Collins behind in lunar orbit, they slowly descended toward the moon's surface. Every second was critical, and the entire world watched in silence. As Eagle approached the surface, the onboard computer suddenly displayed unexpected warning alarms. Then Neil Armstrong noticed the planned landing area was covered with large rocks. Taking manual control, he carefully searched for a safer place while the spacecraft's fuel was running dangerously low. With only seconds of fuel remaining, Neil Armstrong gently landed the Eagle on the moon. A calm voice was heard over the radio. "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." Cheers erupted inside Mission Control. Humanity had achieved one of its greatest dreams. After landing safely, Armstrong and Aldrin carefully prepared their spacesuits and checked every system one final time. Outside the window lay a silent world no human had ever touched. In just a few moments, Neil Armstrong would climb down the ladder and make history with the first human footsteps on another world. Several hours after landing, Neil Armstrong slowly climbed down the ladder of the lunar module. Millions of people around the world watched the live television broadcast. Then, on July 20th, 1969, Armstrong placed his left foot on the moon and spoke the words that would become legendary. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." At that moment, history changed forever. Soon after, Buzz Aldrin stepped onto the lunar surface and described it as magnificent desolation. Together, the two astronauts walked across the moon, collected rock and soil samples, took photographs, and carried out scientific experiments that would help scientists understand the moon for decades to come. One of the most unforgettable moments came when Armstrong and Aldrin planted the American flag on the moon. They also left behind a special plaque that read, "We came in peace for all mankind." It was a message that this historic achievement belonged to all humanity. After spending about 2.5 hours exploring the moon's surface, the astronauts returned to the lunar module carrying valuable samples and unforgettable memories. Their mission on the moon was complete, but one final challenge remained. They still had to return safely to Earth. After completing their historic mission, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin climbed back into the lunar module Eagle. They left behind scientific instruments, the American flag, and footprints that still remain on the moon today. Then, the Eagle lifted off from the lunar surface to reunite with Michael Collins, who had been waiting alone in orbit. Once reunited, the three astronauts began their journey back to Earth. After traveling hundreds of thousands of kilometers through space, Apollo 11 entered Earth's atmosphere at incredible speed. The spacecraft's heat shield protected the crew from temperatures hotter than molten lava before parachutes opened above the Pacific Ocean. On July 24, 1969, Apollo 11 safely splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. The astronauts were rescued by the U.S. Navy and welcomed home as national heroes. Millions celebrated across the world, knowing they had witnessed one of the greatest achievements in human history. Apollo 11 proved that with courage, determination, and teamwork, humanity can achieve what once seemed impossible. The mission inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and dreamers, opening a new chapter in space exploration. More than half a century later, the first footprints on the moon remain untouched, a timeless reminder of the day humans reached another world. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Hidden Files Discover for more incredible stories from history, science, and space. Because the greatest discoveries begin with one brave step into the unknown.